从经典演说中练习正确发音这是下集美国总统罗斯福提出在国会提出四大自由非常有名的演说 The Four Freedoms 我们继续把它念完意思就不解释，因为在我15个频道里面有个经典演说片里面都解释过大概11集12集左右第11集或12集所以念的时候我们念英文不要求快要求稳求清楚。咬字第一个咬字，尤其是母音第二个就是停顿的地方哪里可以念快一点哪里念顺一点，哪里必须要停顿就要停顿停顿还有分比较短的停顿和比较长的停顿。那这样子自己喘口气也表示对整个句子结构了解结构不了解你就会停的地方会停错对方听起来比较轻松一点在最后就是抑扬顿挫高低起伏。我们继续念下集We must be prepared to make the sacrifices the emergency almost as serious as what itself demands. Whatever stands in the way of speed and efficiency in defense preparations must give way to a national need. A free nation has the right to expect a free cooperation from the groups.A free nation has the right to look to leaders of business, labor, and of agriculture to take the lead in stimulating effort, not among other groups, but with their own groups. The best way of dealing with a few slackers or troublemakers in our midst is, first, to shame them by patriotic example.And if that fails, to use the sovereignty of government to save government. As men do not live by bread alone, they do not fight by armaments alone. Those who man our defenses and those behind them who build our defenses must have the stamina and the courage which come from unshakable belief in the manner of life which they are defending.The mighty action that we are calling for cannot be based on the disregard of things worth fighting for. The nation takes great satisfaction and much strength from the things which have been done to make its people conscious of their individual stake in the preservation of democratic life in America. Those things have toughened the fiber of the people,have renewed their faith and strengthened their devotion to the institutions we make ready to protect. Certainly there is no time for any of us to stop thinking about the social and economic problems which are the root cause of the social revolution which is today a supreme factor in the world. For there is nothing mysterious about the foundations of healthy and strong democracy.The basic things expected about people, their political and economic system are simple. They are equality of opportunity for youth and for others, just for those who can work, security for those who need it, the ending of special privilege for the few, the preservation of civil liberties for all.The enjoyment of the fruits of scientific progress in the wider and constantly rising standard of living. They are the simple basic things that must never be lost sight of in the turmoil and unbelievable complexity of our modern world. The inner and abiding strength of our economic and political systems is dependent upon the degree to which they fulfill these expectations.Many subjects connected with our social economy call for immediate improvement. Examples: we should bring more citizens under the coverage of old age pensions and employment insurance. We should widen the opportunities for adequate medical care. We should plan a better system by which persons deserving or needing gainful employment may obtain it.I have called for personal sacrifice. I am assured of the willingness almost of Americans to respond to that call. A part of sacrifice means the payment of more money in taxes. In my budget message, I shall recommend that a greater portion of this great defense program be paid from taxation that we are paying today. No person should try or be allowed to get rich out of this program, and the principle of tax payments in accordance with the ability to pay should be constantly before our eyes to guide our legislation. If the Congress maintains these principles, the voters putting patriotism ahead of pocketbooks will give you their applause. In the future days, which we seek to make secured, we look forward to a world founded upon our essential human freedoms. The first is freedom of speech and expression everywhere in the world. The second is freedom of every person to worship God in his own way everywhere in the world. The third is freedom from want, which, translated into word terms, means economic understandings which will secure to every nation a healthy, peacetime life for its inhabitants everywhere in the world. The fourth is freedom from fear, which translated into word terms means the worldwide reduction of armaments to such a point that in such a thorough fashion that no nation will be in a position to commit an act of physical aggression against any neighbor everywhere in the world. That is no vision of distant millennium. It is definitely the basis for a kind of word attainable in our own time and generation. That kind of word is the very antithesis of the so-called New Order of tyranny, which the dictators seek to create with the crash of a bomb. To that new order, we oppose the greater conception, the moral order. A good society is able to face schemes of world domination and foreign revolutions alike without fear. Since the beginning of our American history, we have been engaged in change in a perpetual peaceful revolution, a revolution which goes on steadily, quietly adjusting itself to changing conditions, without the concentration camp or the quick line in the ditch. The world order which we seek is a cooperation of free countries, working together in a friendly, civilized society. This nation has placed its destiny in the hands and hearts of its millions of free men and women, in its faith and freedom under the guidance of God. Freedom means the supremacy of human rights everywhere. Our support goes to those who struggle to gain those rights or keep them. Our strength is our unity of purpose. To that high concept, there can be no end save victory. 好，下集念到这里。